Welcome back to Rated Radio with your hosts, Rayburn Alexander and Shane Wyndham. Shane, before we move on to Billboard's top hit, can I just say, it's great to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
It's been a little bit, so.
I'm feeling a little happier these days.
Yeah, me too. Well, that was short-lived.
What was that about?
I just wanted to tell you. I don't completely hate you, so I'm sure the listeners don't know that.
Stick with us. We will talk about music, I promise.
Yeah. Moving on. Shane, what was Billboard's top hit that we covered this week?
That would be Super Gremlin by Kodak Black.
And what did you think of it?
I love the song title. I love the artist name. I'm a sucker for hearing a choir of kids in a chorus, so I love that aspect of the song as well. The instrumental is solid, even if the drums hit is a little too fake at times. Unfortunately, I really am not feeling this artist's voice or his style. It's like listening to a fairly simple drunk start slurring their words, only this is being put to music on purpose, and I have no idea how to take that seriously even after years of exposure to mumble rap. The semi-vapid vocals for me hit in a way that keeps me thinking of the word amateurish. There's little to no reverb to deepen these vocals, and they're even noticeably boosted at random during the second verse. I apologize, I'm talking a lot here.
Come on, tell us what you think.
In the right hands, I think this would have been a 5-star experience. As it stands, I can't go higher than 3, and it'd be a 2 if not for the enjoyable backing track.
Okay. All right. Wow. Hot takes.
You?
Kill it. Kill it with fire. To set the record straight, I do not mean Kodak Black. I mean this contribution. There is no real flow to this mumble rap, and the beat isn't even good enough to carry this very disappointing track. 1 unenthusiastic star.
We both sound very old. Kids, we apologize. Some of your music is very good. I just don't feel this. That's my personal take.
Yeah, this is not for me. And you know what? That's just fine.
Let's go see if some of this other music is for you, though. What do you say?
Oh, God. Hold on for the ride.
She's been waiting. Roll the intro. So we're not going to pull any punches today, Rayburn. We'll just jump straight into the meat of Lords of Acid.
The meat and two veg of Lords of Acid.
My God. Dick and balls jokes, always on the brain.
Always. First album that we covered by Lords of Acid was Voodoo-U from 1994. This was my middle album.
This was my top album.
I gave 0 5s out of 12 tracks.
12. 0.
0.
I think this is our first real full dose of techno. I feel...
Tracy Lords.
Tracy Lords. Okay.
Tracy Lords falls in the category.
Which was...
That was a Battle of the Bands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Weaker 5 experience, right? Like you would say
I gave
subpar, I would have said slightly above mediocre.
Yeah, probably.
0 5s. Hot takes. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Go ahead.
My top track was The Crab Louse.
Out Comes the Evil.
And my bottom track was Special Moments.
That was also my bottom track, even though I love the song.
This is Belgian electronic industrial dance music. Definitely not family friendly. Electronic mixes are very interesting, and it reminds me of a mix between early White Zombie, Tracy Lords, and a mixture of Bjork and Gwen Stefani vocals. Very sexual, if you haven't caught on already.
Yes, extremely sexual.
I was just getting, oh God, this is going to be taken out of context. I was just getting pounded in the face with the sexuality with both of these artists.
I mean, you could have said pounded in the ears. It might have sounded better, even
pounded in the face.
That's still...
It was all over.
Still pretty bad. This disc was a player in my musical awakening. One of the few albums that forever changed how I perceived what came out of the speakers.
Wait, did you say musical awakening or sexual awakening?
Musical awakening.
Just checking.
This was well before my sexual awakening. It's bombastic techno with all sorts of styles and live instruments in the mix as well. Sex and drugs are the name of the game, and there's no such thing as taboo here. From production to melody to vocals, this is my desert island party album.
You partying by yourself over there?
No, a solid chunk of my close friends
like Lords of Acid
would agree with me.
I'm not saying
right here.
I don't like them. I didn't give them any fives.
Yes, our fives are different.
Yes, they are. There is something there for Lords of Acid with me. I just can't relate. We've established that you've lived quite a bit of more life than me, and I'm not saying you're geriatric. I'm saying you've had more experiences with sex and drugs and partying and things like that, and I kept it pretty, safe.
You love yin yang twins and smoking out the window and a lot of other stuff that's sex and drugs inspired.
That's true. But it's just not so blatantly obvious like it is with Lords of Acid and Peaches. They do not give a fuck.
I've also heard it said by a handful of people that there's a lot of focus on the female in their music. Mm-hmm. You do get some male vocals hidden at times and some male perspectives. I think some of the vocals that are given are written by a
women.
Male. Yeah, it's a combination effort, I think, but I think it makes some people uncomfortable to hear that sort of thing.
Coming from a woman?
Yeah, like if you're a woman listening to a woman getting off, I can imagine, like, I'm not going to necessarily want to listen to a dude. You know what I mean? Like,
it was refreshing, though, to hear from these artists sex from a female perspective, and they don't sugarcoat it at all. Like, it's like, give me the nasty shit. Mm-hmm. I do not care. And we know women like that out there. We know women that don't give a fuck. I mean, I'm pretty tame about it on the podcast, but we all know that my mind's in the gutter. We all know that I think these things. But the respect I have for the female vocalists, Peaches, and the front of Lords of Acid, just to be able to say these things and not give a shit about what anybody thinks about them or what they like to experience sexually is a little refreshing, but definitely shocking for some people.
I want to say before we move on that the music here, it gets better and better with time. I'm still in love with this. I was so happy to sit down and just listen to a big chunk of Lords of Acid and know I was doing it for the show.
Yeah. Are you ever going to tell us the challenge, or is that going to remain a mystery?
It's a mystery until someone wants to write me about it.
Okay.
Listen to previous episodes if you want to know. Anyway, let's move on.
All right, moving on to our next album by Lords of Acid. It was Our Little Secret from 1997. This was my top album.
This was my middle album.
I gave it 3 5s out of 14 tracks.
13.
Ooh, very close, very close. My top track was Power Is Mine.
My top track was a toss-up between Finger Licking Good and The Power Is Mine.
Finger Looking Good was my other 5. Yeah. It's good, man.
It's good shit.
And my bottom track was Me and Myself.
Ooh, Spank My Booty.
I know.
That's the one I can't handle after all these years. Like, I can still listen to Pussy. It's Spank My Booty, which was funny because when we first got the album, when this, was big in our social circle, Spank My Booty was the big thing. Like, that was Corey's go-to. And I just can't listen to it anymore.
It's one thing that I also appreciate from both of these artists is they have a tendency to they know what they're doing. They know that they're being goofy and they don't care. They know that this song might not land. Spank Your Booty, I think, is an example of that. But sometimes it fucking lands, dude.
Some of that reminds me of D'Amberd.
Yes.
You get that, the capability to be comedic, sexual,
dark,
and serious. Yeah, all in the same vein. And it works. Mm-hmm. And it definitely works here. What were your thoughts?
This is more fast-paced rave inspirations compared to the last album, with a little bit more guitar additions. Not the best lyricist, as I've stated. Things can get a little goofy. Songs lack flow at times, but still goofy, silly, lighthearted. This is definitely the funner album for me.
Okay.
What about you?
Think a slightly more accessible Voodoo-U with a few attempts at mainstream hits. And this won't be much of a shock. Take away the Spank My Booty track, which most people dig, by the way, and I really think it's a toss-up as to which of the two albums covered so far is superior. Basically, this one's also extremely good.
Next album that we covered by Lords of Acid was Farstucker from 2000. This was my bottom album.
Same.
I gave it 0 5s out of 19 tracks.
9.
And my top track was Feed My Hungry Soul.
I like that one a lot.
And yours?
I had another toss-up between Sex Bomb and Kiss Eternal.
I think Sex Bomb was up there for me. My bottom track was Skits. There are more skits on this album, specifically Pain and Pleasure, because as long as I've been able to remember hearing the sound of another woman getting off, even in porn, whatever, it still bothers me. I don't know. It just makes me uncomfortable. Call me crazy. Call me a hypocrite. It's just something that is always, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me sometimes, especially when I'm around people.
What's funny is I used to really love the Pain and Pleasure concerto. Mm-hmm. And it's still funny for me to think about. It's just a little, I don't know. I used to play it a lot, and Corey thought it was funny because it's this serious piano track with just this woman coming and being tortured, essentially, is what... Yep. It's both, you know? We picked Jordan up from elementary school one day, and Corey had this blaring with all of his windows down.
It sounds like Corey.
And they let Jordan in the car.
Well, that seems like it's a problem with the public school system.
Something there. My bottom track was Surfin' Munchies. That was the skit that I absolutely
smoking.
Could not handle. Yeah, I don't like that one.
That was up there for me. I think Pain and Pleasure and Surfin' Munchies were right there neck and neck, so I just wrote skits.
Okay.
So... For this album, the shock of explicitity lyrics is wearing off on me a little bit. A bit boring. Beats are not that promising, but they take some chances with adding instrumental tracks, some more skits. Vocals are still lackluster and very hypersexualized. What I've come to expect. This was just it just seemed like they weren't trying, or they weren't getting really experimental. It was like somebody said, "Hey, we need more from you." And they just pumped out some not really thought-provoking contributions with this one.
All right. If music were porn, the search term here would be hardcore. While not as technically complex as the previous albums, the hard rock overtones act as a bit of counterbalance. Still a lot of ridiculous fun, but the vocalist has an unavoidably cheesy quality in her delivery during the sillier songs, making them that much harder for me to get into. There are also lots of interlude skits here. Critical though I sound, plenty of the 4s may as well be 5s. Not the masterpiece those other albums were, but great nonetheless. And that's my personal opinion. I've been listening to this group for 20 years now, and I'm still in love with this music.
Yeah, I would have never heard of Lords of Acid, really, had it not been for you, or at least not known it, because most people don't know their music's been featured in a ton of movies.
Yes.
And just the tip of the iceberg. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, Strange Days, Bad Lieutenant, Paparazzi, and Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch thing makes sense to me, though. I get that. Like we said, or I said, this is a group from Antwerp, Belgium. Genre, dance electronic. They're fronted by Praga Khan and Jade4U.
Yes. And Praga doing most of their writing.
Yes. They're best known for making songs with sexually explicit lyrics. But like I said, most people don't know they know Lords of Acid.
What's wonderful is once the shock value wears off for this, you're just left loving the music that's there. Yeah. And it just fucking grows on you. Mm-hmm. I want to add that the Voodoo-U cover art is something you will never forget seeing. So if you've not seen the cover of that album, go look at it.
They have 2 versions.
They do.
They have an okay version, and then they have a balls to the wall, we do not give a shit version.
Which is what's on Spotify.
Yes. And I think it's the lesbian demons. They're like one of their mascots for their albums. Mm-hmm. I mean, for this album, but I think, don't they revert back to it?
They use it a lot in places.
Yeah, one of their signature art pieces. Yeah, and they're getting down. They're getting down on that album cover.
Another thing worth pointing out is on Spotify, they have the remastered, I don't even remember what they call them, but they basically remastered the big 5 albums that they had early on, and they have bonus tracks, which hardcore listeners would be familiar with, as you could get them like only places you could find them back in the day if you didn't have the singles and spent thousands of dollars on the foreign imports or whatnot. Yeah. you could download them. So we had all these downloads from like LimeWire and stuff, but now you can actually hear them on Spotify in this fully remastered perfection. Definitely hear the bonus tracks is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was really confused when I went to Spotify to look up the music because, as you know, we list the dates of the albums which they were originally released, and I go to Spotify and it's all the remastered versions. So if you're wanting to listen to the albums as they were released, what we do is we always go back to Wiki
track list there and just listen to them in order from the wiki.
Because what you're going to find on Spotify is, you know, remastered versions that have had bonus tracks added to it. So check that out.
And these remasters are perfection, by the way. Really, the only thing that I disliked about any of the remastered albums that they did was for some reason they took The Wet Dream, the song The Wet Dream, from their debut release and put it, I think, on Voodoo-U as a bonus track, like toward the end. Like, what the fuck is this? I was so thrilled hearing it in a different spot.
Yeah.
Because I'm used
to the flow of the original.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm used to going from one into the Darling Come Here, Fuck Me, you know, that remix.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have anything else
I do.
want to say?
For family friendliness, I wrote Hell No.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. Similar sounding artists for me would be Bjork, White Zombie, Tracy Lords, The Prodigy. They sing Firestarter. Firestarter. What's the Firestarter? And
a lot of other things.
And a lot of other things. That's always, specifically that song is what clicked. That's why I wrote Firestarter.
Yeah, I got you.
Get off my dick, Shane.
Just fucking with you.
And then Gwen Stefani. Ready for a bonus thing that I never say? How the music makes me feel.
Yeah.
It's 4 a.m. I'm tripping balls in a club where blood pours from the ceiling. That's a Blade reference.
Well, I said it makes me feel like all my friends are good with benefits and we stay high.
Okay.
I'd recommend this music to fans of the music in the original Mortal Kombat film. And that is...
Sorry.
That is not just a chance reference. They did some work on the original Mortal Kombat soundtrack. That's where you know this group from. If you go to listen to them and don't understand why you know the sound already, it's because of that old school Mortal Kombat movie.
You know what? If I'm going to name drop Blade, I have no problem with you name dropping the Mortal Kombat movie. Let's age ourselves a little bit more.
Just a bit.
All right.
No.
You got more to say?
Just a little bit, yeah.
All right. Look at you being polite and let me go first.
This is one of those groups that will never unstick itself from your brain once you've heard them, much like DeAntwoord or ICP. What they do is just too unique to forget, however you may feel about the music. Personally, this is one of my all-time favorite outfits. They serve as a reminder that there's a lot more to life than the boring box society at large tries squeezing us into. Not only is most of the music fantastic, but it also pushes the limits of free speech in a way that's beneficial to our individual liberties, and it's a damn good time to be had when listened to. So go introduce your ears to LOA. That'd be my recommendation for this episode for today. Even if you got to pause our show here and go check it out, definitely go check it out.
I mean, but come back.
Praise the Lords. Fuck the rest.
All right. Let's move on from Lords of Acid and taste that sweet, sweet peach.
I didn't know how to touch that. Part of me wanted to be like,
I'm sure your wife could give you some great pointers.
That's not what I meant.
I know.
I have no problem in that department. Part of me was thinking like, well, I mean, first we're going to do our list, but the peach joke was good.
Yeah. That's why I was like, don't you dare fucking touch it. All right. Well, Shane, our top 10 list. Well, we're not calling it top 10 list anymore. Our top list.
Our list. I just call it a list.
Our list, because we're not confining to the 10s anymore. What was our list this week?
Songs forever stuck in your head.
Good God. What was your pick?
I went with Frozen by Madonna, remixed by Sick Kick, which you'll know from TikToks aplenty. You don't know?
No, you got to show me. First of all.
It's okay. You talk.
I know. I'm not a Madonna fan. I just told somebody this week. I'm not a Madonna fan.
Spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler. I really am not looking forward to covering her. It's just not, I just don't get into her. I never have. But TikTok.
I'm feeling better and better about your Lords of Acid takes here because...
Why? Because I make it seem like I have no taste?
I just think most people enjoy quite a bit of Madonna.
Nope. Not for me.
All right. Do you know the song Frozen?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, this will play a part of it, and then we'll have the remix, okay?
Okay.
How can life be what you want it to be? You're frozen when your heart's not open.
Oh, got it.
Forever stuck
Got
in
it.
my head.
Okay. Yeah, I know that song.
So
I just never correlated it to Madonna, and I definitely didn't know the name of the song. So, yeah.
sorry about that.
No,
Didn't
what?
mean to confuse you here
No,
today.
it's okay. It's okay.
I'm sure you knew some of the others from my list, though, like 41. If you want to see some idiotic shit, like I put Calories, I think, by Tyler Cassidy.
Okay.
You about to burn some calories on my dick?
Oh,
That shit. Like, some of it's really stupid.
Between your lips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Anyway, Frozen by Madonna remixed by Sick Kick. After the bowling alley I worked at shut down way back in my early 20s, I went to work at Blockbuster. And while I've always considered myself sort of a friend to everyone I meet, I did form a pretty tight kinship with a fellow coworker during the short amount of time I worked there. The guy was a rapper named Sasha, who went by EXS, and was getting ready to release a new album called The Denouement, which I loved, by the way. You can't find it online. Sorry. Our time spent at work revolved almost constantly around talk of music. And one of the primary things we agreed on was an obsession with tunes that make one feel like they're floating. His go-to example of such a song was Madonna's Frozen. So it was that this became an instant obsession for me when the Sick Kick remix began making its rounds on TikTok. The thing is, about as stuck in my head as a song could possibly be, and I get a good feeling imagining my old friend out there hearing this and feeling inspired by its revamp. I wish him the best. Hope the world hears more of his music someday. His high-five philosophy of progressive positivity still keeps me on the up and up most days. Many people have no idea how difficult it is for their creative friends tolling their free time away, trying to give something beautiful to this too often ugly world. Sasha had a way of making people realize that our social circles deserve our support way more than any big-name celebrity, that the true celebrities in our lives are those friends and family we depend on. He had a way of making everyone seem like a famous person, and I'm glad that influence made its way into my life, where it stays strongly wedged among all those voices in my head, frozen, if you will.
Frozen.
What about you, now that I talked for an hour?
No, it's all right, man. Speaking of family and friends, my song of choice is Cry to Me by Solomon Burke. You know that song?
Mm-mm.
You will. You want to play a snippet
Go
of
ahead,
it?
go for it.
You got it?
I do know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So ever since the rare age of 6 or 7, and after seeing Dirty Dancing, this one has been tucked away in the fondest of memory banks. After the very limited years I got to spend with my grandmother, not the one Shane and I share, one consistent will always remain: the amount of time spent talking to her and the laughs that we shared, I am forever grateful for. And it's definitely something I will forever be thankful for. Dirty Dancing was our movie together, and getting to learn from her was truly a blessing. And most importantly, she taught me there's always a time and a place to cry.
Like she's trying to do right now.
I was good. I was just trying to get it all out, man.
Oh, okay.
No, I was good this one. If you want to hear me almost cry, go to my dad's episode, my brother's episode, my sister's.
Yeah.
Today's a good day.
I'm gonna bring it back up to lighter territory.
Okay.
I did appreciate your grandmother quite a bit.
Yeah, she's cool.
But if I'm gonna crack jokes on anything, because I think you have to, right? You have to crack jokes and stay light, because otherwise someone's memory just gets way too serious, and that's not what anyone would want, I think. Unless you're one of those dull-ass dipshits. What I remember your grandmother teaching me specifically was to be careful who you told you liked chicken wings to. Because I swear to God, for the moment she found out I liked chicken wings, we had to have chicken wings at every family event.
Man, she fucking milked that cow till it was dry. She did the same thing with Blue. She found out he loved lasagna, and she's like, "Oh, baby, I'm making my menu for the week. What do you want?" "I already know you want lasagna." Like, she'd make her rounds, and everybody would pick something. She got to the point to where she didn't even ask Blue anymore. It was just lasagna. But it was cute, their relationship, because they would watch football together. Like many times I'd be like, where the fuck is my boyfriend? And I walk in there and he's sitting there watching TV with her and talking with her. And if you know anything about Blue, you know that he's not a very talkative person unless you're someone important to him. So he had a special bond with her too. And he tells me all the time. He was like, you weren't Kaba's girl. I was Kaba's boy. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll give you that.
Yeah, there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
I won't go into too much detail. What came to my... Yeah, I'm going to tell it.
No,
I'm sorry, I'm going to tell it.
God damn it, Shane.
Should I not do this?
Go ahead, whatever.
So, I was staying over. I think it was when y'all still lived in Pilot Point. You were little, you know. I walked into a room at one point to like, and she's watching TV or whatnot. I walked in to ask, like, have you seen Rayburn? I think we were getting ready to do the cake or something. It couldn't have been cake because then she'd have been up and about it.
Yeah.
But like, she just stone cold when I asked her, like, who cares? You were a little shit when you were young. So
I was.
To be fair,
she probably went in there to get away from me because she was doing all the shit for birthday. She was cooking. She's fucking cutting up cheeses, cutting up, vegetables and fruits, laying out a big old spread. She brought it. She was a hostess. But then after that was done, it's like she got a break. She separated herself a little bit.
Just don't let that give you a complex because you, again, were very young.
No, I knew she loved me, and I knew that I was, if not her favorite, one of her favorites. So you're not going to tarnish my view of my grandmother in our relationship.
Well,
don't worry.
Good.
All right.
Let's go talk about peaches.
Let's go talk about peaches now.
Sorry.
Who cares?
Still clear as day. Who cares? Okay.
Tired of my ass because she lived with me too.
I say shit like that about Taylor.
That's true. You know what I mean? And I'm always telling you, quit being so damn hard on him.
I'm generally not.
No, but you also live with your son and you know he's not a complete angel.
Yeah. My patience is with him specifically. It's when adults try to ask me about him on top of everything else I did with, like, really?
Who cares?
You remember me, right? Not just the... Anyway.
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling. All right.
Peaches.
First album that we covered by Peaches was The Teaches of Peaches from 2000. This was my bottom album.
Agreed.
I gave it 1.5 out of 11 tracks.
3.
My top track was Fuck the Pain Away.
Agreed.
It's just too good. It's too good.
And every listener, you know this.
Sucking on my titties like I want to make... I'm pretty sure my boss listens to my podcast.
Well, there you go.
He says, Rayburn's got that podcast that she pretends that I don't know anything about. And I think he told a coworker. He said, yeah, it's good. She's definitely got some language on there. I'm like, I'm not helping this argument at all.
No, and my favorite part is I happen to know you really like your job.
I do.
But when you talk about shitty employment, you're trying to talk in the past tense, but you feel like you're talking in the present tense. And it always freaks me out when I'm editing. Like, I should probably cut this. They most likely think she's talking about them.
No, I love my job. I enjoy it very much. Any shitty things aside from just the daily, I dealt with a difficult person today. All the negative things, that's old. I'm the happiest that I've ever been in a job currently right now in my life. So,
and somehow we went from sucking on my titties to talk of your employer. What was your bottom track?
My bottom track was Felix Parts.
I went with Sucker.
Okay. All right. This is Canadian electropunk or dance punk. This is also explicit. Not a singer, more of a spoken word approach. Simple electronic beats with a little spice. Can be a bit repetitive. And this album specifically was inspired by Peaches' cancer diagnosis and heartbreak. So now that you know that, listen to the album again.
Yeah, not reflective of what you get at all. I would tell you that much.
Fuck the Pain Away is our top track.
In spite of my lacking 5s, I do think the first half of this is surprisingly enjoyable. Beyond that, the repetition, weak or absent choruses, and droning drum and bass tracks began wearing on me. It's an interesting effort from an artist whose great strength seems to be vocals in a perpetual state of confusion between humorous and sexy. The album's better than I expected it to be, though it does falter. It's like you've got all the pieces to an awesome puzzle, but haven't placed many of them together. Fun, but underbaked.
All right. Next album that we covered was I Feel Cream from 2009.
Great fucking album title.
Yeah. This is my middle album.
Agreed.
I gave it 2 5s out of 12 tracks.
9.
Okay. My top track was Talk to Me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I was torn between 3.
Okay.
None of them were Talk to Me, although I do like that song.
Yeah.
I was torn between Lose You, Billionaire, and the title track I Feel Cream.
I Feel Cream was another one of my 5s. Billionaire, I think it was maybe a 4 for me. And I can't remember on the other one. Anyway, my bottom track was Serpentine.
Agreed. Hate when albums start with a weak first track.
You know what I hate even more? That she says Serpentine. That's what I hate. Terrible way to start off an album. I gave it a 1, but when she said Serpentine...
I gave it a 4.
Oh.
It's fine.
Yeah, Serpentine. Sorry. I'm not bitter. I promise. Singing's improved a little bit here. Still repetitive, but production value and quality increases. Larger variety of sounds, darker direction for I Feel Cream.
This disc starts and stops on weak footing and has one track that's too repetitive for me. Otherwise, it's pretty wonderful. If you dig oversexed techno with old school hip hop verses and floaty choruses, this is one you shouldn't miss. Even the weak tracks have so much 5 potential that it hurts. Blows her debut out of the water.
Mm-hmm. I will agree. That debut was weak for me. Okay, moving on to the next album, which I'm pretty sure this was an elaborate ruse for Shane to get me to listen to Rub in its entirety.
I mean, I want the world to listen to Rub in its entirety. That's my elaborate ruse.
Next album that we covered was Rub from 2015. This was my top album.
Same.
I gave it 4 5s out of 11 tracks.
10.
Oh. My top track was Dick in the Air.
Dick in the Air.
Dick in the Air.
Okay, do you like the video? Have you seen the video?
Haven't seen the video.
It's got Margaret Cho in it, I think. They run around
that makes so much. Okay, that makes
in
sense.
like knit outfits with dicks and balls, and they're out on the streets.
And they're
like,
just
yes.
Helicoptering? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Mine was I Mean Something.
Okay. And my bottom track was Light in Places.
See, that was almost my top track too.
Well,
My
that
bottom,
wouldn't have surprised me at all.
My bottom was, well, let's be fair. Light in Places has a slow build and is somewhat repetitive. Mm-hmm. But I really love it. It also has one of the wildest fucking music videos you're ever going to see in your life.
Okay. Drop it in the mentions.
It's the one with like the contortionist on the rings who is, she's got like... It's a fucking laser light shooting out of her crotch. My bottom track was Dumb Fuck.
Okay. All right. This is sassier this go around, and I hate using that word, but it's sassier. Still repetitive. Beats are much harder here, and you can sense a little bit of the 80s inspiration. She brought it with this one, in my opinion. If she can... The album after this one, I would be curious to hear what it sounds like. Was this her last album that she made? Was Rub the last one?
As far as I know.
I'm curious to see what the next one sounds like if she expands on the sound that she touched on in Rub.
Yeah. It's definitely her last full release. I'm not sure if she's had any singles out since then. Mm-hmm. I don't follow Peaches that closely.
Yeah.
You get a darker club instrumental bass on this LP. While I think most listeners will like the I Feel Cream album better because of its poppier bits, this one strikes me as a perfect fit for Peach's style. Here, she can be vulgar or forward-thinking, and it just works so naturally. It conveys something rarely heard in music, which is the sexy mind and experience of a maturing female. Mm-hmm. There's depth here that's lacking in the other releases. The ridiculousness is also otherworldly. This is her evolution.
Yeah. Yep. She started out as a little peach. Now she's a big peach.
She a big peach on this album. That's for damn sure. We should mention genre-wise, this is like techno, electronica with industrial leanings. Mm-hmm. Shares a lot of commonalities with Lords of Acid.
Yep. She's very popular in Berlin, but she's actually, like I said, from Canada. Her real name is Meryl Beth Nisker.
I think so.
Yeah, Meryl Beth Nisker. She was originally a part of a folk trio.
Yep.
Which is crazy how far she's she's come with her own style.
Once you've listened to her music enough, you do kind of realize that she has so much else that's going on beneath the surface.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the way we tend to view comedians as just like these slapstick idiots who go through life. And that's not the case. You have to be like these genius business people to make this work.
Yeah. And just like Lords of Acid, you may not know that you've heard Peaches before. Her music has been featured on Ugly Betty, Jackass, Mean Girls, Lost in Translation, South Park, The L Word, Letterkenny, 30 Rock, Handmaid's Tale, True Blood, and many, many more.
Ah, fucking Letterkenny.
Yeah.
By the way, similar sounding artists, mention Lords of Acid. I was fully prepared to hear you compare this artist and vocal-wise to Tracy Lords because you tend to be really hard on vocalists, and she has more of that like old school hip-hop style. She can sing, it's just not the natural range that she's in a lot of this.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I heard Tracy Lords with both of them. Like, obviously, I said it for Lords of Acid, but I think I was giving Peaches a little bit more credit because Peaches can actually sing. She just doesn't a lot.
Yeah, depending on the vocalist you get with Lords of Acid, it's the same thing too. It's still, though, if you're coming to either of these artists looking for Luciano Pavarotti or something, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is fun sex music.
Family friendliness? Fuck no.
No.
And how the music makes me feel? Like I'm a sex worker and my speciality is domination.
I will say, as far as family friendliness goes, I think you get more in the way of life lessons from some of what Peaches brings to the table.
Yeah. Also, another thing that I will throw out there, for those of you that are fans of director John Waters' work, he did the original Hairspray, he did the Pee Wee Herman movie, he also did Crybaby starring Johnny Depp. Peaches is also a big fan, and I can definitely feel it in her music.
Yeah.
And her overall personality on stage.
Yeah.
I get it, how she presents herself. So
They're kindred spirits for sure.
Yeah.
In ways. The music makes me feel like some hot nerd girl I went to school with just invited me to check out her OnlyFans page.
Shit's getting weird.
I mean, it's,
All right.
it is that. At times, Peach's vocals and lyrics can feel corny or dated, but there is more variation here than I've known her to get credit for. Beyond the initial shock value is music that's fun to listen to, and a few instances of her making flooringly insightful tracks that I wish more people were exposed to. Is it Free Drink Ticket from Rub is what comes to mind? If you listen, I'm serious, go listen to that. It's fucking wild. Mind-blowing.
Who doesn't want a 2-minute voicemail of her going, rub, rub, rub?
Man, shut up.
Because that's what Shane did
You know
to me.
how I do.
I know how you do.
I don't know if she plans to make more music, but her future is undoubtedly bright if she continues her trend of making consistently better material with each new release.
So, that begs the question, who won for you this week, Shane?
I think I've already made that clear.
Yeah, you've made it pretty clear. I'm
Praise
just
the
asking.
Lords, fuck the rest.
Yeah.
It was Lords of Acid by quite a bit, but I think they also had more songs than Peaches did. So,
Peaches actually pulled it out for me. So, hey.
I think she would have done really well. It would have been a pretty close comparison, even though I do think Lords of Acid musically has a lot more going on.
Yeah.
But that debut hurt Peaches in ways.
I think, I don't know. I was very, very surprised because you have so many contributions coming from Lords of Acid. I mean, it's a full band. And Peaches, it's just kind of her.
Yeah, she squeezes a lot out of what she's working with. And I think
a lot out of that Peach.
It may have been my fault too, as far as that goes, because I knew what I was picking with Lords of Acid. Mm-hmm. I knew I Feel Cream and Rub with Peaches. I didn't actually know the debut. Mm-hmm. I just thought there are a few tracks there that were hits for her.
Yeah.
Maybe we should see where she started.
There's no way we could do Peaches and not do the Teaches of Peaches.
Yeah.
There's no way. I mean, we would be doing Peaches fans or, fans in general a mad disservice if we didn't do Teaches of Peaches, because that's what everybody knows. Everybody knows that album cover. Everybody knows that song. So
I like who won for you because I can see you listening to Peaches more.
Okay. Well, this is great.
I don't know.
We've reached an understanding.
I used to play Tony Hawk for hours listening to Lords of Acid. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know, it's just stuck in my head in a way that's not.
Which Tony Hawk? Underground?
Probably Underground 2. I also played a lot of, in the early days listening to Lords of Acid, it would have been 3.
I asked because my nephews have just now discovered Tony Hawk and skateboarding, and they're like mad into Pro Skater right now. And they're telling me all these things. Do you know you can grind and do all that? And I'm like, motherfuckers, I have been playing Tony Hawk's Underground since it came out.
I still have a PlayStation 2 memory card in a closet somewhere here, just in case Joseph ever decides he wants to. It was Tony Hawk 3 that they allowed us to. You could do it on Thug 2 as well, but you could edit tricks, create your own specials, you create your own parks, you create your own lip, or what's the connecting jumps? I can't think what they're called right now. I'm such an idiot. But you can name them. We spent hours and hours just...
With Pro Skater, you kind of just skate. There's no real storyline. So when I was explaining to them and I was showing them gameplay of Underground, they're like, you actually have stuff to do? And I was like, yeah, dude, there's a whole storyline. And throughout, you get to meet other pro skaters and do crap with them. You get challenges.
You can get off your board and walk. Some of it plays out like a fucking Jackass movie, you know?
Bam's in Underground.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is. Anyway.
Lords of Acid and Peaches.
Lords of Acid and Peaches.
I highly recommend both. And before you take it away here...
Okay.
I've teased this being a big season, and some people probably just thought he likes Lords of Acid, so that's what he's talking about. No, our final matchup before the finale that we drew was Led Zeppelin versus Pink Floyd.
We have been asking for a Pink Floyd matchup for a long time. It's finally here. Tune in next episode to hear what we got to say, because boy, oh boy, it's going to be something.
A few things before we go any further. Some people I know really wanted to be on this episode. I couldn't get everyone in, so I decided to have no one in. So it's just going to be you and I.
All right.
And I think at some point in the future, what we should probably do is some sort of revisit, maybe even as a special, where some of the people who wanted to talk about Pink Floyd in these albums, we let them do it on their own. So it's not even us.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That sounds good to me.
We've had lots of entries for both of these artists. Led Zeppelin was added to our jar by my friend Amanda.
Thank you.
Dawson.
Thank you.
And Callie.
Thank you.
And then Pink Floyd was also Dawson.
Thank you. Boy's got good taste. Callie's got good taste.
Who's the third? Who's the other person that put it in the jar?
Dad?
Codes.
Oh, can't ever count Codes out.
So,
thanks, Codes.
Led Zeppelin albums we're going to be covering. Please, again, don't at me. These are hard decisions.
Why discography?
We will eventually cover them all in the finales. For now, the three albums we're going with for Led Zeppelin were Led Zeppelin 2 from 1969, Led Zeppelin 4 from 1971, and Physical Graffiti from 1975. Reminder, if you're out there and you want to follow along, that's why we're telling you right now. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon from 73, The Final Cut from 83, and The Division Bell from 94.
I'm going to refrain from saying anything about those selections until our next episode.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Well, Shane, this has been fun, but that's going to do it for this week. Hit up our playlist on Spotify, visit our merch shop, share our show with your friends. Come find us on social media and let us know what you think. And until next time, fill your world with music.
Rub, bitch, rub.